Okay, streaming again for another day. Looking forward to this week. I've got some fun plans for myself at the end of the week, so in terms of streams things will be a little different, but until then I get to enjoy some time streaming. I have mostly one. I have an idea I have to kind of explore another little avenue of working with SVGs and images and CAD related stuff, and I'm going to see if I can start hacking away at some ideas today. Pardon me. It relates to path tracing and then extracting the path data and blah 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 blah. I should probably just show what I'm talking about as opposed to just talk about it. So I'll get into it nice and quick. Okay, so as usual, I've got a nice messy approach, prototypes and all that, and maybe I will clean things up a little bit, but what I'm keen to show is so this I had up before, so that's nothing new, but this is something new that I'm in the middle of trying, and I'll in just a minute kind of show how I arrived at what's going on here, and then hopefully explain what I'm attempting to do. Just want to pull up my chat on my phone as usual to just have just have a secondary window in case things go horribly wrong. I'm getting ready to pull the trigger on a new desktop build soon, so that I don't have to worry about technology problems as much, but it's expensive, you know. Okay. Right, so if I go over to right here, I was working on a little kind of creative side project where I kind of extract some artwork from YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I decided to start trying the certain bits of the pipeline on some of my own pieces. And what I've got here, let me switch up this just for a minute to show what I'm talking about. Let's see here. If I do this, I think this will work. Okay, if I refresh this now, oh, I messed something up. That's should be okay. Oh yes, it's right here. I need to build that, of course. Oop, not quite. How did I mess this up here? One second here. Maybe that's it. I think that might be it. No, that's not it. Oh yes, that's still supposed to be like that. Ugh, I messed it up. Why? Well, let's have a look here. What did I do here? Well, now this one. Well, I don't quite know what I've done now. I thought this would work. I'll get there soon enough. Okay, so I have a whole list of paths. Okay. Did this not build properly? What's happening here? I was very close to having this work, and now it's all disappeared. Ooh, why is that? Okay. This is nothing different. ASDF. So test. This was what I was working on before, by the way. Drawfee is a channel, it's not me. This is not my art. I want to be very clear, but I have a pipeline that can turn some YouTube links into SVG elements now, which I think is really cool. So like I can delete path elements and the color will go away and stuff like that. I think it's really quite awesome. It's a work in progress, but what I'm trying to do is get it to work with I have a file in here. Oh, you know, something's not quite working the way I want it to. Hey Mike, everything's going pretty well for me today. How are you? Hope things are all right on your end. The file does not exist. Okay, I'm in the middle of, I had this working this morning and then I don't know why it's not working right now. So this is a PNG image and I'm working on a pipeline that can just convert this PNG image into line work, like or path data of an SVG. And I have, I want to see if I could start to build some like heuristic mechanism to kind of convert sketches into like CAD base data. I'll see. It's a little hard for me to explain. Maybe if I get things flowing here, then I can actually show what I'm talking about. Mike, doing well. Just getting through a Monday full of meetings. Oh man, Well, I hope you have the patience for it. Monday meetings were never my favorite. Hopefully some of them are at least useful for you. You know, I don't like meetings, but sometimes they are useful, sometimes they're not. That's really the problem, is they're not always equally effective. But hopefully things are going well for you. Glad to have you tuned in on the chat again, as always. Really appreciate it. Pardon me. Okay, what did I do wrong here? That's always my question. It's possible. I don't think I need that. Okay. Let me have a look at this stuff here. If I do AJ paths, I have a list of paths. Mostly just sit through the meetings and don't have much to say, so I work while the meeting is going on. Fair enough. It'd be nice if there were a world where the people who call those meetings would be, in general, really okay if like you had nothing that you needed to contribute, if they could say, oh, you know what, that's okay, then you don't need to attend. But I always do find people want to invite people just in case they have the potential for a useful insight. And that's such a small justification to be in a meeting sometimes. Of course, I'm just recalling some of the bad meetings that are in my head, right? I always forget about the ones that were fine. So I have a negative selection bias in my brain. What's going on here? Let's try this. I just want something that draws correctly for me. That's what I'm hoping for here. It should work. Oh, here, this is what, I think this is probably what's going on. Maybe. Ooh, not quite. Let's go like this. Almost there. Seriously? Oh, there's something on the screen now. Okay, stepping in the right direction. Agreed. A manager does a pretty good job of keeping your manager does a pretty good job of keeping us out of meetings if we aren't needed. Every couple of weeks there's an all hands meeting. Small price to pay in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, actually that does, you know, that's really, I think, not a bad model. Because it's not like every meeting is a waste, it's that some meetings are. And I would imagine that the occasional all hands meeting is in some high level useful for everyone in those meetings. So theoretically everyone in the company being kind of updated, their mental context of what else is happening in the company at large can be updated, as it were. And I feel as if that could be really helpful. So that makes a bit of sense. And man, everything is smoother when you have a good manager to work with. I find that is a big asterisk for working conditions. You know, if you have good managers, then things can be quite enjoyable. If you have bad managers, it can be a real problem. Of course, that's maybe too broad a statement, but that has been my personal experience. The subjective quality of a manager has an impact on your day-to-day work, your sense of quality at work. That I speak only for me, but that's how I've always experienced it. Anyway, right, so I've got something showing up on screen here. Let me get rid of this business here. Is that gonna work now? Let me see. There we go. Okay, so here we are. Here I am. This here is a this is an SVG path derived from the PNG that I drew on my iPad. Okay, so if my iPad decides to turn on, let's see if I could pull it up here. Right, so I have it, and I didn't set up screen sharing with the iPad today, but I've got this here, right? I can draw on it. Such an artist. But the idea is that I can, I set up I think this will work. Okay. Yeah, so there's this file, out.png. I've set up just a really simple share automation. And let me draw something real quick here. Oh, I'm such an artist. This would be way cooler if you could see what I'm doing on the screen, but that's okay. This is a bit of an improvised thing today anyway. This looks horrible. Okay, so I drew this. It's just a cube. It's a representation of a cube. I'm going to share it from my iPad through SSH into this out.png file right here. So give me a second to do that. Actually, let me, just to make sure it works. Okay. So out.png is erased here. I'm going to share it. And now I shared it, and out.png still exists, or exists again. Okay, so now if I open that, there we go, my horrible drawing. And now, since that exists as a PNG, I can produce an SVG from it. So to do that, what I would like to do is well, let me just copy this since I'm hacking at it anyway. Cube paths, cube, that works. Oh, of course, before I do this, I actually have to do, I have to run a function, and that function is image to SVG, and the file name is out.png, and I'm not using the color flag, so it's just like this. So doing this confirms the file here. Oh, it's wrong. Sorry. It should have failed, but maybe it did fail. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit. Let me see what I would like to remove from this. Okay. Okay, there we go. I've got nothing left in the folder but the out drawing. Just keep things small and simple for the hacking I'm doing. It doesn't need to be crazy, it doesn't need to be anything ridiculous. So with that, I can actually just comment those bits out there. Okay. So here, let me run this again. Image to SVG of the proper output/out.png. There we go. So now, if I slurp that file name, cube, as I can see, is already an SVG. So right there, already the PNG image is actually converted into path data. It's a bunch of paths. It's really awesome. And I want to say, before I get too far ahead of myself here, the program I'm using is one called VTracer by Vision Cortex VTracer. It is, let's see here. Yeah, so they have this Vision Cortex has like a web app version of this thing, but they also, on their GitHub, they have a command line interface that you can you can download the binary from their from the releases page on their GitHub. They also have a crate, so I believe crates, that's Rust, I think. Yeah, it's Rust for sure. Anyway, what's cool about this is there's another program I was using called PoTrace, or I think it's PoTrace, here by Peter Selinger. PoTrace is actually the exact thing that's used inside Inkscape to trace bitmap images into vector things. So I was using this before. I was calling from Clojure to the shell to run PoTrace on an input, and then pulling that SVG in. And VTracer, I have just swapped those things out. So on the Clojure side, it ends up looking like the same thing, but they produce different outputs. And what I found was I could turn a flag on the VTracer thing here. I could run the mode. Instead of using spline mode, I just switched it to polygon mode, and that gave me as default output a path composed of straight line segments, which is exactly what I wanted to work with, at least for now. I can, as I add SVG path functionality, I can work on more complex things, but as a starting point, it's super convenient to pull in an SVG, extract all the paths, and then convert the line segments into lists of points, and then I can do simpler algorithms on those lists of points. So I think this was a pretty lucky library that I stumbled on the weekend, and it worked quite nicely for my needs. I'm pretty excited about it. So to finish up the thought a little bit, let me change this so that I'm looking at the correct output here. There we go. Okay, so this looks, from like at the right zoom, this looks like I drew it, right? and I mean, because it's derived from the drawing I produced, but this is a path element. Like I could change the path fill right here and it changes right away. So I don't know, I think that's really quite cool. And what I'm hoping to achieve today is something very simple. I want to take a PNG input of a line, like a line drawn, and I want to run some kind of algorithm over it so that it can extract endpoints from those lines. The idea being that eventually it'd be really cool to get a PNG input, run a line discernment algorithm over it so it discerns that this is a line, this is a line, this is a line, converts the PNG into simple line segments, converts the line segments into optimized line segments. So if two endpoints are very close, you have some closeness threshold that merges the points, and on and on and on. And eventually it would be really cool, and I have no idea how I'd actually do this, but it'd be really cool to have something that could assume a certain projection and then back calculate missing points. So this drawing is an approximately isometric drawing of a cube. It would be very, very cool to have some heuristics that you could run over a drawing, a sketch, if you will, and have it kind of provide as outputs a few reasonable estimations for missing, like, additional occluded points, right? So imagine you put this drawing in, and instead of only getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, you actually get 8 points, because it kind of guesses automatically for you that there might be a point behind here. I don't know if that's even a reasonable thing to do. Like, maybe that's way, way harder than I'm even conceptualizing, but something along those lines would be fascinating. That would be so cool. But way before any of that happens, at the very least, it would be cool to have some line-based heuristics and approaches, which I believe is probably a little more achievable. Okay, so enough chit-chat with that. Let me get this. I'm gonna simplify this. I'm gonna kind of put a little cheater algorithm in here. Sounds really powerful, but a pretty intense problem to try and solve. Sure, it's possible to do though. Yeah, so I don't know how I would actually go about it. Well, before that, I have some ideas already for kind of what do you want to call, like, I would call it annotated depth assist. So for example, I could draw so this would be like the easier version of what I was saying. I'll see if I could draw a simple example and show it to the screen. Imagine, like, if I'm the sketch artist, I just want to do a rough drawing. I can add a layer onto my drawing and manually annotate points with different colors. And then I could have some this is probably not going to show up particularly well, but that is okay. So if I put in a drawing like this, it's hard to see it, but there's like different colored points that I drew on the vertices there. You could use color as depth annotation or something like that. And so you get bonus detail. You have to manually put it in and know what you're doing up front. But you could use like hue or saturation values as a sort of depth encoding, and then you get Z data out of that particular spot, and then so I don't know if that's perfect, right? But it can help you. It can give you additional information to make a prediction about where a point would be. So you could cast a Z ray like this, then you know the Z value of a point, and then you just discern the X and Y position of it as well. So I think it's clever, but I do then start to think, well, okay, at what point are you just reinventing CAD tools that already exist in a harder way, right? So like the blue skies, everything works the way I want it. It would be really cool to not have to annotate your own drawing with little points like that. But as a proof of concept, I have no problem doing it the dumb way, quote unquote dumb way. It'd be fun to try. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. All I want to do for today is try to draw a line and have it eventually go through a pipeline of functions that end up as just two vertices, point here, and then use that to recreate my own path. And in a minute I'll explain why that actually is important, maybe I can, if you give me a second, maybe I can open this in Inkscape and illustrate why I can't quite do that directly. Let me see here. Okay. Pardon me. The potential issues with the color thing, right, would be you want, oh, now I can switch my scene back here. Okay, so I've got this thing opened up in Inkscape nicely. I'm going to go to the node editor here. If I click this path, actually it might even be multiple paths. Let's see here. Path, break apart. Yes, here we go. This is the perfect thing to illustrate. Okay. Send this to the back. Okay, this is the kind of issue with the drawing I put in is nicely traced into SVG data. The issue is it's actually different paths, right? It's so this you decompose it into 1, 2, 3, 4 paths, but what I would have really wanted, right? Like, or what I'm hoping to achieve is something more along the lines of, let me undo those changes here. I almost want instead something that's like this. There is just one path. It's a single line element, right? Like instead of, I'm not explaining things particularly well today. There are 4 nodes in this shape here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And in a 3D context, you can produce a cube with only 8 vertices. But here, this is, you get both sides of the stroke. You don't get a single line with a stroke attached to it. So it's not exactly what I need. So what I can do on this particular thing, I can apply a stroke effect, a stroke style. Let's see here. Boy, my ability to explain things is unfortunately a little lacking today. I do apologize for that. Alright, so here I can make the stroke thickness of this particular shape 20 pixels or 1 pixel. It's just a path and then a stroke style is applied to it. That's really useful for CAD things, for showing layering and all that kind of stuff. But this here, if I merge this again into what it was before, this, if I were to apply some wild stroke paint color to this and a stroke style, let's make it 20 pixels. Oh, the stroke paint color, yeah. It's applying a stroke on the outside and inside. It's not, this is not what you would expect. What I would theoretically want is a single stroke line, and then I can apply these things to it on its own. At least in the case of wanting to convert a sketch into a CAD type object, you don't necessarily need to keep the stroke thickness data as I've drawn it. You just kind of want the general start end point and that it's a line or some curve or something. Not entirely sure I explained that perfectly, but let's close that without saving and zip back over here and see if I can start to come up with a little pipeline that's a little faster here just for today. So I'll just go ahead and make a little split spot here. What do I want to call this? Sketch to path. And I'll just call this iPad. What a horrible function name, but okay, I'll just go ahead and use it. Right, so what is the first thing here? The assumption with this is that I think I followed. CAD stuff isn't my area of expertise though. Yeah, no worries about that. I'm trying to think if there's one more simple way I can explain this. Surely there is. Okay, I'll try one more time in the simplest way I can think of. This, in the context of a CAD program, this vertical line here on this cube face would be in data represented as a line segment, right? And that line segment would be perfectly vertical. It would have a vertex here. Let's imagine just the 2D case. It would have some X value and some Y value. And it would say this vertex is some different Y value but an equivalent X value. And the line would be represented on screen as a line of pixels drawn from those positions. And you could zoom in and that line thickness would not change because it's just a representation of an exact geometrical measure, right? A line in mathematical sense has no thickness at all. We just need to represent it with something, otherwise you can't see it, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. This in the context of this drawing, this SVG thing, this particular line is actually composed of many, many, many lines. So there's a few points, a few vertices on this side of the line, and a few vertices on this side of the line. The workflow I kind of want to achieve is, if I draw on my iPad a line with some thickness to it, just because, you know, like you draw with a pen on paper, it has some thickness to it. I want a pipeline that takes that image in, gets the basic path data like I have here, and then can sort through those extra points. You know, if I have some line segments here and some line segments here, but what I really want is a single line path kind of as the mid-line between them. That is the CAD representation I want. A more geometric, a more mathematical representation of the line, as opposed to a representation of the visual of the line thickness. That's the best I can explain it right now. I guess you could say things in a slightly different way. The CAD representation of objects aims for mathematical and geometric precision, simultaneously balanced with the need to be economical in how that information is stored. Line of best fit of all the lines that are created currently. Something along those lines, yeah. So I could, if I could isolate, so again, just for illustration purposes, imagine all I'm looking at is this vertical sketch line I drew here. You could simplify that down to fewer total nodes by taking pairs of vertices, right? If you have a left side and a right side pair, you could get the midpoint of those, and then for the next pair get the midpoint of those, on and on and on and on. And if you go all the way up the line with that, you've reduced your number of vertices by half. Then if you perform that same simplification approach the other way, you could theoretically imagine you could remove every other point from that line, and you could do that until you have only 2 points left. And that straight line you draw between those two vertices would be the minimal line that matches the line that you had as input. So yeah, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good. I don't know. Normally I'm a little more confident in how I explain things. The words weren't coming to me today. I did my best. I'm glad it makes some sense now. I do feel as if a few diagrams and stuff like that would probably have made it easier, but in any case, that's fine. I'm going to finish making this little test pipeline here and just kind of go from there. What on earth is all this about? Okay, so this function is going to knowingly take how do I begin this? Okay, I'm going to start just like this. Output/out.png. I'm just going to hard code that in there because I know that is what it is for now. What I do there is run it through image to SVG, which returns to me when I run this, it's a side effecting function. It creates it reads in the PNG, it runs the VTracer on it. Sorry, it doesn't read it in. It doesn't read, the Clojure side doesn't read any of this data. It just dispatches a shell call to VTracer, which has the result of producing from the PNG an SVG. Once that's complete, this function returns a string that is the file name of the SVG produced. So using that, I can pass that in to the slurp function, which just reads the SVG into the memory of the Clojure program. This is maybe not the coolest way to do this, right? Like, what I would actually prefer is to not write these files to disk, but I haven't yet figured out how to pipe it just through the streams. I think I could create a like Java IO stream and stream the file into that instead, but this worked and I got this working quicker. So for hacking and prototyping, I'm totally okay with that. It'd be really cool to have a smoother process though. But anyway, that's stuff for another day. I would consider that to be a little bit of premature optimization to try and avoid all the disk writes. It doesn't matter. I'm working on low quantities of this stuff for now anyway, so no big deal. Okay, so the PNG is presumed to be there from the iPad because I'm doing it myself. Convert the image to SVG, slurp the SVG in, and now here, this is where, okay, so the next thing to do is SVG to paths. And then after that, that returns a list of paths. And then here, map v into points gets me all of the paths as lists of points. Okay, that makes sense to me so far. Let's see if it works. It does. Okay. That's great. Pardon me. So, is this really the smart way to do it? For now it's okay. Let's do a little sanity check here. Okay, so I'm looking at the out.svg. What I actually want to check is test.svg. File doesn't exist. That's no surprise. It's what I mean, that's exactly what I expect. Here, I'm going to just make a tiny little let here. Let this object be how do I want to do this? Well, let's just keep the pipe idea going here. iPad. Map v drop z. See, the readability of this is bad a little bit, but it does kind of work for now. This should work for a 2D case here, I believe. Oh, right, one more there, like that. Okay. That's the object, and now this here is kind of what I want to copy it. So svg/svg. I don't remember the resolution of this one. I think it was 4K or something like that. Oops. $4096, eh? Wow. Let's just go. Lazy brain today. Should have been able to do that in my head. And we'll make the scale, the global scale of that, a quarter, so that proportionally it looks the same. Then I just lost my train of thought for a moment there. Map partial SVG / style element. The style is stroke none. Fill. Let's make it green so that I can confirm that I have an output from a different thing. Okay, that should work like this. That's that. Oh, and I forgot, I do want to just automatically save it SVG into output / test. Output that whole thing. Ooh, something wrong. Almost had it. It was almost there. Where did I go wrong? I'm assuming this messed up. Let's try it. No, that seems to work. Oh, maybe it is. Oh, of course, here. I don't need to map this. I also don't need a partial of this because I merged the paths and obj is just a single object. So it should work just fine like this. Let's kind of clean it up for a moment. I will just style the element here, all in one line. And the element I want to style is the object. All right, let's try that. I think that'll fix my issue. Okay. Hey, almost. Okay, so here I have. Okay. I'll be right back. Gonna go to the washroom, but there's something wrong with the point ordering of this, unfortunately. I'll have to figure that out. I will be right back. Okay, so I think let me take 2 only. Wait a second. Wait, what? Oh, no. Why did that? not change. How many paths? Oh, I merged them all into one. Actually, let's undo this one here. And then here, let's just group that. Will that work? It does not. Not a valid element name. Did that actually produce different paths? No. I'm goofing somewhere along the lines here. Let's just go like this. iPad. Oof. Okay. This count iPad 1. Wait, so I've just confused myself a little bit here. I thought that I should have expected there's only one path being pulled out here. Okay, so that's different than what I expected. So that means somewhere, let's just see what this produces. If I count iPad, there's still just one. Okay, so, oof, chugging along there. Really? Huh. Okay, so this must mean something. Let's see. I've confused myself a little bit here. So I'm gonna go back up here and have a quick peek at I'm confused because I expected, or I assumed, that there would be 4 paths, not just one. So what I'm thinking is there's one here that has discontinuous parts in it, but my algorithm is not splitting things appropriately. That I'm just guessing that. And if that's true, that is why I've got a weird graphical glitch. Like some of the points are being rendered a little bit out of order because they shouldn't be connected, but I'm accidentally connecting them. So what I'm kind of looking for, well, actually I could just do it this way. I could just split here, def ASDF is first of iPad, right? That should just be a string. Yeah. If I s/split the ASDF string with the regex, let's just split on M. Is that gonna work? Oh, okay. So now, so that, all right, we're getting somewhere. If I count that, 6. Okay, so I'm a little confused about that, but I would have thought there would only be 4. It's possible that there are some really, really tiny paths that, like this path is like one, it's like only a few pixels. That's a weird looking path, but okay. And oh, and of course this doesn't count. It's just a blank on the first M. Okay, so my assumption, or this is nicely proving me a little bit correct here. So what I think is happening is that well, what I know is happening is somewhere in my pipeline I am not splitting correctly. So what does that mean I have to do? It means I have to split the line correctly. Nice and simple. Now how do I do that? Luckily I have this little test string that I can use, and I think I actually solved this problem elsewhere. Okay, paths. There's a split paths function that I created somewhere here. Okay, this not being able to find some functions that I've written that I want to use in different spots is an indicator that it's soon time for me to package some of these ideas into finalized functions and put them into my SVG library, because they're clearly coming in handy in a few different spots. It's weird because it's annoying to have to pull things out and put them in a different spot. But it's really exciting to notice that, oh, here's another spot where for sure I could add this to some of my main libraries and actually keep the functionality nicely encapsulated in a library. So that's good. That's a little bit of a win. But it's I have to still do that. Okay, images. Where did I put all this stuff? Boy. Okay, get path, SVG to path. Might already be in this very file here. Okay, split path takes a string. Does it work? Oh, okay, so it doesn't work. In this case, probably because of some assumptions I had baked into the split path function here. Okay. This, I figured it out here. So my split path function came from a different spot when I was working on SVG paths that went through some of my own library functions. I, in my library, start every path spot with an M call, a M command, and then end it with a Z command, which just means end path, basically. It's like explicitly ending the path. But you don't have to, I think. And I think what's happening is they're just starting paths with a new M and not explicitly ending them with a Z prior. So I have to split paths differently in this case. So what's a smart way to do that? I mean, the lazy thing to do to get this ball rolling a little bit is to put a little replace M with a new line and then an M like this. So if I do that, if I run split path on ASDF, I should see a count increase. So I almost have things working except for the fact that I have accidental double M calls here, which is not correct. I do believe if I actually just do this, I could probably, oh, almost. So the M is on the wrong side here. The reason for that must be wait a second, why is that? Oh, here, right. I don't want it, I actually don't need to run it, here. Boy. If I just do this, I think that'll fix that. Yes, it does. See here? The M is nicely right there. That's nice, that's good. Okay, so if I count this, this should be 5 if I am following. 6 still. 6, eh? Is there an empty path in here? Ah, there is. Still an empty path. Right. Just trim, remove all new lines. Oh, I don't know. No, just start and end ones. Okay, so I could just move the trim to here, and that should eliminate the blank at the start of that. I think. Yeah, okay, we're on the right track now. Okay, so, okay, now I've got a split path function that works for my use case at the moment, which does mean what I need to do is have a little look at pardon me, okay, SVG to paths. Here, I now need, for each path in this list, I need to map V split path. Okay, let's see if this works. Oops. Oh wait, I can just run the iPad function. It's a bad name for a function, actually. Okay, so I get a list of lists of paths. If I map cat that, is that gonna work? I think that'll be fine. Okay. Okay, so then I should now, this should, in theory, now produce the list. Yeah, okay, so there's multiple paths now in this Okay, good. Five. Okay, awesome. Okay, I am getting somewhere now. So I think what'll happen now when I run, let's see. I don't want to take 2 off of that actually. Yeah, so I run this, I map v drop z. Yeah, this should work, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, so what's happened here is kind of what I was hoping for. So I have only one path. If I drop 1, I should see, yeah, good. Okay, so now I want to try one final thing. If I merge these, does it work? Yes, okay. So I've recreated sort of the behavior I was showing in Inkscape, where you can pull the different paths that make up this shape apart and merge them back together and correctly get the appearance of the lines there. Okay, good. So this pipeline will work well enough for me. So now I'm going to go back to the drawing tablet for a second and I'm going to just draw the simplest shape you've ever seen. Well, I don't know if it's the simplest shape you've ever seen, but it's a simple shape. I'll just leave it at that. How about that? Okay. That is not good enough. That is going to be good enough. Okay. Just got to share it as a PNG here. Okay. If I run this again, it should be a different shape now. Yes, cool, okay. All right, that's reasonably good. All right, so that alone is something I'm pretty, I'm pretty happy about how smooth that actually is. So it's, that line is in fact the line I drew on the iPad here. I did change the color, of course, just for kicks. Because it doesn't really matter. But what I want to attempt to do now is recreate this, or build some kind of discernment mechanism that can give me, that can draw up a circle here and a circle here, because it has correctly guessed the endpoints of this line segment. And that's all I'm going to attempt to achieve. That's it. Nothing more for the day, just that. So what do I do to get there? Okay, so split this quick test, quick draw helper. Naming things is so hard for me all the time. Okay, so sketch to path. Let's just hide that for now. Actually, no. Okay. Clear my mind, close these things up, get them out of the way. All right, here I am, just writing this bit of code. So the idea I have, oops, start by creating an endpoint guesser given a line, given a path that is how do I say that? Given a closed path, set of points given a closed path as a set of points, which is representing a line segment, find x1, y1, x2, y2, and draw an idealized version of the segment using only those endpoints. And the idea I have for this is find bounding box of shape, find midpoint of the shape, rotate about midpoint until bounding box let's say the height of it, height is minimized. So by this I just mean the bounding box of the shapes that the bounding box thing I use is the axis align bounding box. So in the case of this line, the bounding box of it will be a pretty large rectangle. So what I want to do is rotate the line until that rectangle is as small as it can be, within a reasonable precision, I guess. And then keep track of that rotation value, right? Then you actually have already min x and max x min max x are just the midpoint x plus minus half of the bounding box width. Can make slight adjustments by guessing the stroke thickness as the height of the bounding box at this rotation. Then make new line object with the with P1 prime and P2 prime. Get final result by applying the reverse rotation on the new line object, giving you P1, P2 final. Okay, does that make any sense? I think that makes some sense. So next thing I want to do to help with this is actually, if I go back here for a moment, I do want to create bounding box object drawn on the drawing as well, just for visual assistance. So to do this, to make a bounding box, created a bounding box area function, which I had forgotten about, which is up here. Okay. Here, this rectangle takes a width and a height. I'll just make a little bounding box helper down here, I guess. I'll do bounding box draw. Sure. So the points CACB is the corners of the bounding box. And I don't need the area of that. I actually want to return a list of points. Actually here, bounding box points. There we go. So, this is maybe a little confusing. X3, Y3. That should be okay. I think that destructuring works that way. It should be fine. Right. So the list of points that I'm returning are just going to be X1, Y1, going to X3, Y1, X3, Y3. This is maybe silly. AX, AY. Yeah, BX, BY. That's fine. I don't need the numbers. AX, AY. Trying to be less confusing, but I'm not sure that this will actually help. BX, AY. BX, BY. And then the final one here is AX, BY. That should give me the bounding box rectangle around whatever shape. So to do that, all I have to do is this. I don't want to run this twice, so points. BB is, oh, I already had it down there, but it doesn't matter. BB is BB points. Let's okay, something complicating things a little bit more than I need to. BB points is the function that I run over the list of normal points, and all I need to do there, I don't need to map V. I also don't need to map this. I can actually just run it. And I also don't need to do this. Yeah, I've definitely overcomplicated it. Classic. That's fine. BB points, points like this. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so that's the bounding box. Now I just need to draw it. And I'll do that manually like this. Fill none, stroke red, and the object is just going to be the bounding box. Oh, something didn't work. Oh, right, of course. I would need to technically do apply concat to the list of points, right? Hey, there we go. Okay. The stroke of that bounding box is a little small, so let me just fix that up a little bit here. So stroke red, stroke width, what, 5 pixels? I'm not sure if that's going to be good. It's a little better. That's good. Okay, so got a nice visual there. Pretty happy with that. Now, for the interesting bits. Right, so if I have how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? Okay, so this is just a single path, which makes sense to me, as I would hope it to be. Right, so what I would like to do I need to turn it into a shape, yeah. So if I do f/polygon, and the list of points is apply concat iPad. Ooh, it does work. Okay, that's a nice little step in the right direction for me. It's a weird kind of polygon, but it's valid as far as I can tell. Very nice. I will take that. Let me actually try this other thing for a minute. Polygon 2. I don't remember if this will work. It does not. Okay. That's okay. It's totally fine. No problems here. If I apply concat to that, does that work? Ah, okay. All right. I don't necessarily like doing it that way. I shouldn't, wait a second, let me do one other thing here. If I apply polygon, okay, that works. That'll work the way I want it to. Okay, so excuse me. Right, so what am I attempting to do here? I'm trying to come up with a bit of a pre-filter. I want to rotate the list of points ahead of time and then draw a new output just to see that the bounding box will actually shrink. And then I have to figure out an algorithmic approach for minimizing it while stepping through rotations. And I think there's a reasonable way to do that, but I'm not totally set on how I want to do it, but that's okay. So the next thing to do could be well, let's build a little pipeline here. Okay, so I take that set of points and I run it through apply polygon 2. That produces a polygon, or pardon me, that produces a shape polygon. Here, oh, I have to use the right namespace here. Now I can actually rotate it by some degrees. I want to rotate it about Z. Let's rotate it -40. I'm just guessing. Then all I need to do is actually pull from that shape the vertices. Let's see if that actually is going to work. Ooh, not quite. Where did I go wrong here? Let's have a look at this. No. Perfect. Okay. Let's step this back one at a time. Okay, that works. Oh, vertices is not getting... Well, that's strange. Ain't that the weirdest thing? Well, I don't know why that happened. Oh, I know why. I think I know why. I actually have to thread first, not last through that. Let's give that a shot. There we go. Okay. That was close. I think if I do this, it might work. Nope, not quite. Bounding box points. Wait, what? Why doesn't that work? Oh, right. At this point, I don't need to concat. Ugh. Oh. Oh. I mean, it's kind of right, but it's not right. Why might that be happening? What happened? I don't understand. Well, that's not much better. I don't know why it popped up there, but it clearly rotated, so that's a bit of a step in the right direction. Oh, maybe it's related to... like I did incorrectly. I didn't move it. Let's find the midpoint is... let's do this. Points is iPad. Transformed points is points. Bounding box is from transformed points. The midpoint comes from the original points, which is calculated by midpoint. Just takes a list of points. If I do apply concat to iPad, it does give me a midpoint, which is nice. Map the float over, I don't really need to, well, let's just try this, f/midpoint, apply concat points. Okay, and now here, I actually just have to do, mx, my, and I don't need the z value of that, so I just drop it. You know what, I am gonna map the float over that just to be safe. Okay, so I have the midpoint x, midpoint y. Here I can do f/translate. Oh, wait a second, let me just do it here actually. So before a rotate, I do f/translate. And I want to translate the points by negative mx, negative my, which I can just do as v star Am I thinking about this properly? I'm not sure. I'll just write it this way. Negative mx, negative my, 0. And then translate it back after the rotation to its original position, which is just positive mx, positive my, 0. Okay. Oof, that's way worse. What happened? Okay. Not quite what I expected. The bounding box is in seemingly the correct position, so that's a start. Oh. There we go. Okay. Sweet. Okay, that's a nice step in the right direction. Let me go, let's change the rotation. Yeah, so yes, okay. Right, so I'm manually stepping through right now different degrees, and if I had to guess, something like 35.5 is right around the minimization of the height of the bounding box. Yeah. So my thought is to make a filter predicate, or no, to make a function how do I want to do it? I only want to rotate through, or I should only need to rotate through 90 degrees? Let me see. Just checking my messages. Yeah. Oops. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? I'm a little distracted today. I think theoretically I only have to sweep through it. So if I check for a minimization of X or Y, like of either the height or the width, I should only have to sweep through 90 degrees, right? I think that makes sense. I'll just sweep through 180. Yeah, so I should never have to sweep through more than 180 degrees, right? Because if you flip an object all the way over itself 180 degrees, your starting bounding box size and your ending bounding box size will be equivalent. And you will have passed through a minimized portion of that. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you will have. That will have happened. So, what I do need to do, so this little drawing tool is helpful. Let's define sketchy no, let's make another sketch to draw. Ugh, jeez. iPad to Forge. Sure, that's good enough for now. And I do want to keep it a function because then I can call it and it'll do the same thing as this, but it'll convert things right away into the Forge shape that I can use to do this rotation stuff. So to get there, I have the rest of this, apply f/polygon 2. Be right back. Right. Back at it again. Right, so the apply polygon 2 is actually the end of that. That should be okay. Let's see if that makes sense. So if I run that, I should get, yeah, a shape, which I can then, in theory, use to run some kind of little algorithm for. So up here, the algorithm define let's just make the function minimize bounding box height. Yeah, that's good. For a given shape. Okay, so the shape needs, I need to find the midpoint, which is f/midpoint of the vertices of the shape, right? Midpoint just works on a list of points, right? Yes. Oop. So that should be fine. And then the bounding box is just exactly what I've done here. Technically, well, no, I'm going to leave it. Yeah, that's fine for now. The bounding box is just this. Wait a second. Let me think about this just for a second. Let's move this. Okay, here. Bounding box points is good. Oops. Let's make another one here. Bounding box width height. Given a set of points, determine what the width and the height are, which is actually just going to be maths abs bx ax math abs by ay. Does that make sense? I think so. I think it does. I think it does. Okay, so bounding box height BBH is just the destructure of the function bounding box width height of let's do points is map v float over, wait a second, I don't need that, map v drop z of vertices shape. M is the midpoint of points, and here bounding box height is the bounding box width and height of the points. Okay, so let's just sanity check that this function gives us something. Okay, so if I run minimize bounding box height of the result of iPad to Forge. Ooh, something's wrong. What did I do here? Okay, vertices, oops, vertices of iPad to Forge. Okay, that is a list of points, that's good. Map V, drop Z. Okay, that works. F/midpoint of that should work as well, right? Yeah. Oh, maybe map V float over this. Oh, that's not going to tell me anything different. Let's try this again just to be still okay. Still a breakdown here. Where did I go wrong here? Oh, whoa, this is not. This should just be points, shouldn't it? Okay, that's not the problem. What am I doing wrong now? Bounding box corners 2D. I have lost the plot on this one. Okay. Let's just break it down bit by bit. Okay, that's a list of points, right? It's not two lists of points, I think. I think it's fine. It's just one list of points. Not too surprising. So if I run, if I run bounding box center 2D over this. What? It does work, okay. Oh, but I don't want center 2D, I want corners. Okay, so that does work too. What am I missing here? I goofed somewhere. Okay. What's this? I thought this would work. Okay, let's go with, let's try to just run this with height. It doesn't work. I'm a little confused. Wait a second, is it, no, that's not it. What is happening? Right, because bounding box corners 2D just works on that, right? But then wouldn't I expect this function to just work on it too? Why isn't that? Maybe it's a problem with how I think destructuring is supposed to work. Okay, let's just step this back a little bit further, right? If I look at the return of bounding box, this should work. What's happening here? What's going wrong? Maybe it's this? No. Yeah, okay. Okay. Here, I'm transforming this this doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is broken. If do this, otherwise it's this. Okay, that should hopefully work now. There we go. Okay. I have to fix this then too. If do this, otherwise this, and then this is just points. Alright, now let's give this a try. Okay, alright, back on track. Minimize bounding box height of the bounding box for the iPad to Forge result. Hey, there we go. So that's the height. And now, basically, what I think I want to do next is produce a I want to do it the lamest or the easiest possible way. So here, I'm just going to do it in a 4 angle range 0 to 180 with a step size of 0.5, right? For that whole thing, what I want to do is let I realize actually this doesn't need to happen in here. It needs to happen in the loop portion, because those are the things that do change. Okay, so the midpoint I need in all situations, but here in this thing, I need X shape to be a transformation of the shape, where you first translate it to mx, my, 0 is the midpoint. Come on, I don't need any of that. Okay, so translate to negative mx, negative my, 0. Perform rotate about z by angle, and then oh, you know what, actually for this I don't need to. I actually can just rotate the shape by the angle. And that should be, oh come on, I don't need this. I don't need this. Yeah, so here, oh come on. What's the reason for that? Oh, this whole thing is being treated as a link at the moment. That's frustrating. If I put a space here, does that stop? It might. It does. Okay. What was I thinking to myself? Okay, X shape is just rotate the shape by the angle. Then you don't need the midpoint in here after all. And then the height is just the bounding box width and height of vertices from X shape. Then with that let statement done, I can just return angle, and height BH. Okay, that's the for loop. Rotations is this whole thing. And then all I need to do is take first of sort by height. That should, oop. Points is not, vertices of shape. F/rotate. Okay, so let's try this. Interesting. Let me see if this angle of rotation does indeed give me a nice thin result. Let's try it with this here. Let's do 144.5, 144.5. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so that minimizes the rotation. Well, that gives me a, okay, that's fantastic so far. So given that, okay, so while I'm in this stage, right, I can actually just spit out more information because let me think about this just for a second. I guess I should calculate everything after all, right? So if I go here, BB width, right? So you want to minimize on the height, but since it's all there anyway, you can just kind of spit it all out, nice and simple. You can get right away width, BB width. And then you can actually put midpoint is just let's just do vertices directly. How about that? That's nice and easy. So the vertices are, I'm going to do just like this. So you got P1 is just P1 is mx minus minus half of the width. Likewise, my, well, we'll just say is, well, we can just leave it as my like that, right? Yeah, and then this point is the same but positive. So let's just copy this for simplicity. Oh, not what I needed. There we go. Okay. So plus. Okay. So that should be then. All I really need to do is return the vertices of that, technically. Although I could. Right, so let's see here. This should give me 2 points. It does. The problem is those points aren't on the original given line. They're on the line rotated to be as flat as possible. So I'm almost done. I just have to apply the angle in reverse. So here, if I do first sort by this, minimize BBH, and then here I just do define idealize line, and I want to give it a shape. So what I do here is let data be minimize bounding box height of shape, and then all I need to do is create a new shape, rotate it. Wait a second, let me check. No, let's do it like this. Yeah, okay, so the data is like this, the angle is angle from data, the points is vertices from data. Okay, so with that information I can actually produce I don't remember if I can do this. Can I rotate? Can I rotate something that's just vertices? Oh, I can. Perfect. Maybe a little convoluted, but I don't know if that's a smart thing to do. Well, okay, I mean, this is just, I'm just bashing together a prototype, so it's fine. I'll think about the proper approach later, but if this works, I feel like I'm stepping towards something pretty important anyway. Like, this is pretty cool. So right, so what to do next with this? I want this ideal idealize endpoints. There we go. Idealized endpoints signals that I'm just going to provide 2 points of data back. 2D. Yeah, sure, that's okay. So the transformation works like this. Given the shape, vertices, actually I wonder, okay, f/rotate by negative the angle. Yes. And then from that, I just pull out the vertices result. And then each of those, I map V, drop Z. I think that's fine. Okay. I don't know that this is going to work. Not quite. Let's just comment out bits until things work, and then step things forward through there. Okay, no pointer. I wonder, I kind of think it's this. But let's see first of all. Let's try this. Try that. Not working. Okay, so let's step back a ways here. Points. Okay. Minimize bounding box height of the shape. That works. Oh. I forgot. Okay, here's why. There we go. I forgot to redefine this. There we go. Okay. Now back to getting this to work. Let's try this again. Let's pipe data. This might work after all. Through f/rotate. Points. Come on. Right, rotate 0, 0, negative angle. Then, oops, this can be closed there. After I rotate it back, I actually just need the vertices from that, and here, map V, drop Z. Let's give that one more shot. Whoa, okay, I've got 2 points. Let's see how that lines up with reality. Points is iPad. That's just fine with me. Here, the next thing, if I rotate it by 0, okay. Idealized points is idealize endpoints 2D of iPad Forge. Okay, given those 2 points, do me a favor and draw right here. Nope, my mistake. Right here, 4 point in I points, draw SVG / circle. Hey Biz, hope you're doing okay. Stream is like yours, it doesn't grow. Yeah, you know, I guess it just takes time. I don't have any strong insight as to why, unfortunately. How's everything? Things are going pretty well. Hope you're doing okay. I think, did I have hair the last time I saw you? I mean, maybe I hadn't shaved as much, but I've been this way for for many years. So I've been streaming this way the whole time. I've been messing around with a new mustache for a bit, so maybe that's maybe that's the difference here. Sometimes I have a beard like this. But no, usually, like at most, I'll just let this grow out a little bit more if I'm too lazy to shave every week. But as for the stream stuff, I do feel like, I mean, I don't know if you're doing programming streaming, but programming streams are pretty niche to begin with, and I don't know, I feel like it could take a long time. There's a huge, like streaming, there's so much content being produced out in the world that it makes a bit of sense that it might take time to, you know, get a bigger audience. I won't say that I wish it could be bigger, and I hope it gets bigger, but how's the CAD app? Oh, it's coming along reasonably well. I've got, let's see, I've got some more prototypes and some more work happening. I'm getting, so here is a rough example of a parametric design of some dumbbells, isometric view that you can rotate. You can change some, so you can change the zoom, that's nothing crazy, but you can change the thickness of the plate, and it'll change the plate thickness and the handle length are linked together, so they'll both change, and the radius of the plate will change the calculated mass of the whole thing. So you get a design based there. The idea, I have a more complete version that I haven't uploaded, but this shows off what I was trying to do anyway. The idea is you set your parameters, you get a visual output, and then you click a download button or something and you see the 2D CAD drawings of that. Hope I'm selling this, not open source. So my current plan, so the open source thing, it's not clear cut in my mind, but I want to try and get 2 or 3 big contracts under my belt to do some of this as a SaaS sort of thing for manufacturing companies in the area. I have good connection with some manufacturing companies already, and I could probably get my foot in the door doing some sort of internal app development in this sort of vein. But in my ideal perfect world, I would actually love to open source this kind of stuff, because I do think in general, design tools built for individuals and people to use can help, broadly speaking, more people communicate more design. You know what I mean? So I have to see exactly how that goes. I don't want to talk too much about all that right now, because there's a lot I still have to think about and sort out on my own. So, but making money from this is definitely part of what I want and need to do. So I am, rest assured, I'm working very hard on that aspect of this stuff. Will I add G-code to the app for machining, i.e. CNC? You know, that's actually an interesting question. I'm gonna say probably not, at least not as a quote unquote launch feature. And the reason for that is what I would rather do is build good. Used to be a machinist. Oh, nice. That's cool. So my thinking on that is this. I would probably not put it in as a main feature. And the reason is I would rather make good exporters, particularly to things like step files. And then at that point, what I can do is say, hey, users, if you can export this to step, you can take that step and put it through whatever G-code generator your heart desires. Because in my experience, the CNC machinery I've used, they all come with, or the people who use them are used to using some proprietary G-code generator, and will have familiarity with that already. So as long as my program can export to a neutral format, in theory, you can use my library as a sort of first step in the pipeline to getting your stuff out there. But that's not set in stone, right? Like, theoretically, for 2D plotting related stuff, or flat sheet cutting, anything like that, potentially I could have a basic G-code exporter. But if I'm realistic about it, there probably are really good off-the-shelf G-code generators already that expect certain file formats in, and I feel as if that would be the better way to connect these sorts of things. But either way, that's a little bit down the line. Some of the first things to do are make these fancy looking, cool little web apps that I can bring to the manufacturers and say, hey, check this out. This is what I got for you. What do you think? Boom. I pull up a little iPad. I do all this fancy dancy stuff here. Click a button, get some drawings. If I could do that as the quote unquote sales pitch, I feel as if that would be a good use of my time and effort. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. It's cool that you used to be a machinist. How much equity am I willing to give away? I have no honest answer for that at this time. I've not thought about it. What do you even mean? What do you mean by that? Oh, to investors and stuff? At this time, I'm not sure. Currently, I'm currently funding with a bit of a loan and a little bit of careful time management on my own part. So I don't currently need investors. 500K for what percent? I don't know. I can't answer that right now. Honestly, if you're coming to me with 500K, we can't talk through chat, obviously. To be less of a butt about it, in general, I don't know, because I haven't yet thought that I need to explore that avenue. I'm funding this with a loan at the moment, and the intent is to get my foot in the door, get some contracts with manufacturers so that I can be profitable while I'm ramping up the feature set and all of that. You're not working as an entrepreneur. on my off time. No, I got that. I got that. I'm sorry. I'm being a little bit glib. I wasn't expecting that. You're just asking a general kind of question, but I have not thought about giving equity for investment at this time. That's the truth. I don't know yet. I'm going to see if there are more conventional approaches to building this business through contracts and through good customer service, all that kind of stuff. But maybe I'm naive. I don't know. Or get acquired. That's always a ripcord option too, right? You know, I don't want to do this anymore. It's more than I can do alone. I want to do something else. Blah blah blah. Boop. See if I could get acquired. These are all possibilities. No, it's fast money. And I can build something else. Yeah, I guess so. To be honest, I don't really care that much about money beyond it providing me the ability to live, the ability to provide, you know, through donations and all that kind of stuff. I don't personally value as much money as possible, right? Although there is something to be said about getting money quickly so you can build other stuff. That's a perspective I haven't held before. So take that for what it's worth. Let me see if I can just create something here for a second. Maximize your influence given limited time. Yeah, so like I said, it's not a perspective I've held before, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I guess I'm saying, oh man, I have to kind of think about that now. Actually, you know, what is truly the best way I can spend my time so as to give good influence, to help people, whatever it is my values are. It's a great line of thought that I now kind of have to think my way through, you know. So, but you're working as how many lines of code so far? I also don't know that. I haven't looked it up. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, see, lines of code is a little iffy. It's over 5K, I'm sure. But here, for example, right, like I could reduce the lines of code count significantly by changing how I write the structure of the S expressions. But anyway, so you've been building a mobile delivery app? So you mean like mobile delivery like for food or for products of some kind? Or I'm not sure what you mean by that. It sounds cool though. svg/translate. Color red, circle, raise 5, I think should be fine. I don't know if this is gonna work. I think it might. Let's see. Let's try. Oh, almost. Legalized food and drugs. Okay. Cool. That sounds like a non-trivial kind of an app. That sounds like it could be a lot of hard work. I hope it's going well for you. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see here. Whoop. Where did I go wrong with this? Circles. Oh, they're just not in a good spot, I guess. I don't know why that, that's a little weird to me. I've confused myself. Let me try something a little different here. Let's do this. Here, I've got another idea. Let me do this. Okay, this one, eye points, stroke width, 25, stroke red. Sure, let's try that. Oh, did it something wrong? It's 3 mobile apps, 15 backend services. Nice. That's not nothing. That is not nothing. So did you build the whole thing and now you're like shopping it out to investors and stuff like that, or did you have some investors and then you're building it, or some different combination of those things? It sounds cool. Sounds like a lot of work. Not in a bad way, of course. Not in a bad way. That's not a valid element name. Oh, of course. I did this wrong. This has to be svg/path polygon. There we go. That should draw. It drew, but I don't know where it is. Okay. Oh, no, something's wrong. That's all wrong there. That doesn't make sense. Weird. Okay. Oh, these numbers are pretty wild, actually. Now that I actually think about it, these numbers don't make a lot of sense. That means there's something I have to fix there. Now you're still building long-term passion project. Live on the beach, and I saw a void. Okay. Working on a problem that you see, trying to solve it, eh? Live on a beach. Oh, so you're I'm trying to remember. I think you were going between, was it Miami and Toronto or something like that? So if you live on a beach, I'm assuming you're in Miami. Unless I'm misremembering. I'm not trying to be creepy or anything. I think that's what you had said last time, though. You're in Toronto right now, though. Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, I live in Miami. Gotcha. Okay. So I do remember more or less the details correctly. All right. I have to go soon, but I kind of want to see if I can fix this just a little bit. This whole thing is just a hacked sort of prototype experiment anyway. This green line here isn't like it's not directly from the CAD library. The idea is it's a drawing that I drew on my, oh, you can't see that at all. I drew it on my iPad as a PNG image, sent it to this script, ingested it, got it, traced the paths to SVG, and now I'm trying to come up with sort of heuristics for idealizing drawn lines into more precise sketches. Because the idea is that you could use, like you could draw on a tablet to produce base sketches for real 3D models somehow. So I'm just kind of hacking my way through some experiments, and I was just trying to get the end points of this line, and that's gone a little bit wrong, but I'm kind of close. So it doesn't feel hopeless yet. That's wickedly over your head. So it sounds pretty phenomenal, but so I would imagine that given enough time, given a bit of focus on it, I'm pretty sure that you could figure it out too. It's not like crazy difficult stuff. Like SVG paths, this path that I have here, it's just a bunch of straight line segments, right? So you just do certain polygonizing algorithms and stuff like that. Anyway, point is, it might seem complicated, and it's certainly not the easiest thing in the world, but given enough time, I do honestly think a lot of people could figure this kind of stuff out. I'm just trying it because it seems fun. Angles and lines, 3 angles equals 180. You mean if they're triangles, right? But yeah, like a lot of that stuff does kind of boil down to thinking about triangles and points and what you can do with them. I mean, that's a bit of an oversimplification, of course, but it's cool. In my opinion anyway, I love this stuff. I must have calculated this the vertices of this minimize height thing incorrectly. Yeah, geometry. Yeah, and like geometry, it's not actually that complicated, right? It's just how do I describe it? Like you can just kind of get lost thinking about it sometimes. Do you feel advanced in Clojure now? Yes and no. I would say my comfort level is so much higher now, so much higher. But I do know for sure that there's a lot of ergonomics that I still have to learn, a lot of best practices in terms of architecture that I need to learn. So I would say I'm transitioning. I'm not beginner, but I would not quite say I'm advanced yet. So I'm in that transition phase. And I'm really careful I don't really want to apply too many labels anyway, because I do feel like there's stuff that I'm quite good at and there's stuff that I'm not. And it might be different than a different Clojure developer, but advanced, not advanced, hard to say. Not talking to a server yet, are you? What architecture? I mean architecture in the broadest sense. Like, I like this. No, here. This is just a single page app, you could call it. Like this all is calculated client side here. So I'm not, to answer your server question, I'm not really talking to servers yet. But I mean, I use the word architecture in a very loose way. I mean, like, what, generally speaking, given a certain kind of problem, is a good way to structure your code so that the user can use it efficiently and effectively. Where the user could be another dev if you're writing a library, or an end user if you're writing some kind of app, right? So I guess maybe architecture is the wrong word, maybe design is the better word. So I don't mean anything specific. I mean, I don't quite have the intuition yet about general program structure enough that I could pinpoint, oh, this is probably how I should do this up front. Not sure if that makes any sense. How do I minimize API misuse? Are you asking me, or are you just saying like, oh, that's another thing to learn? Sorry, I don't quite follow your question. Instead of architecture, how do you minimize API misuse? Oh, yeah. So I am discussing design goals a little bit here. So this is just coming from your question of, do you consider yourself, do I feel advanced in Clojure? And I would say not quite, because of these broad sorts of things, right? Given, like, I could come up with design goals and still not quite know how best to achieve them, right? Like, I know certain ways in which I can, but, you know, path A and path B might not be equally effective, and I don't quite have that intuition yet. I'm kind of speaking extemporaneously here, so if there are things I say that don't make sense, I do apologize. Sometimes your questions are not ones that I've thought of before, so I sometimes I'm caught a little off guard, that's all. I'm not saying you don't ask questions, I'm just saying that's why sometimes I might not know exactly what I'm talking about. Hope I give a talk on my experience. Do you think so? Do you think that would be valuable? Because I stream, so maybe that's obvious, but I do enjoy discussing projects, motivations, all that kind of stuff. I do find that enjoyable, so it would be nice. It would be cool. Okay, I really have to go soon. I just want to try figure this one thing out, that's all. You know what I could do? I could do midpoint like this and just return mx, my. Let's try that. Okay, minimize bounding box height of iPad to Forge. There we go. People want to see complicated challenges that are solved in functional programming. Yeah, fair enough. Thanks for chatting. Take care. Hey, yeah, Biz, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. You have a good one. Good luck with your projects and your stream and stuff like that too. Hopefully things work out for you, and maybe I'll see you around. Okay. All right. Come on. I can fix this. Just have a little bit more to do. The light is fading. The sun's going down. Almost time to stop for the day. Almost time. But I want to get this. Okay, so the midpoint. Does this actually make sense as a midpoint? I kind of think it does. I'm gonna draw that midpoint and see what comes up here. SVG slash translate SVG slash circle the radius of 25, and SVG / style element stroke none. Oh, that's wrong there. Stroke none. Oh, come on. There we go. Fill red. Okay. And the translate, of course, I have to actually put the coordinates in there. Let's see if this is correct. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's not bad. That's pretty good. Why? Okay. Come on. Right, so the midpoint, the guessed midpoint looks pretty darn good, if I do say so, right? I mean, that's not surprising, right? Because the bounding box of a single line, like it makes sense, right? If the shape you're giving it is pretty much a line anyway, that means you're pretty much going to be along the diagonal of the bounding box. So getting the midpoint of the bounding box will automatically get you the midpoint of the diagonal. So it's kind of easy to get the midpoint. Now, what's weird is everything else. These vertices here, they kind of make sense. Let's group a few different circles in here. Oop, what? There, kinda. Okay. Right. So this is another one. These are the points, the endpoints at the minimized position, or at the position where the height of the bounding box has been minimized. So let me see if that makes approximate sense. Yeah, that seems to work. So now the only thing I don't understand is why the rotation hasn't quite worked. So on that, I will figure it out in just a minute. I'm going to be right back. All right. Ooh. Okay, I'm almost done. Let's figure this out. So the only thing that's a little weird is the final positions of these get a little bit messed up. Idealize the endpoints of iPad to Forge. Okay. So this here makes a little bit of sense, but this doesn't make sense to me, the negative, and this negative here doesn't make sense to me either. So something's going wrong there, and it might have to do with how I rotated and stuff like that. So here, yes, of course. So I'm pretty sure this is the problem here. What I have to do first is f/translate here, the midpoint. Yes, this is what I need to do. Okay, I figured it out. mx, my is midpoint of data. Whoop. Yeah, and I have to translate by negative mx, negative my, 0, before I rotate. Then I have to translate back, positive, after. And now when I do this, I should have more sensible points. It looks a little better, I think. Okay, so given that, now I should be able to draw the points like this, and this is too small there. So let's try that and see what it looks like. Ooh, yeah, okay, close. All right, so there's, okay, interesting. Oh, I think, so we're offset a little bit here, right? There's an offset. I'm gonna guess that's related to the midpoint I'm calculating from not being exactly the midpoint must shift around a little bit because there is a thickness applied to the lines, but that's not too bad in my opinion. Let me just style this as well to get a better a little bit of a clearer. Yeah, so now I'm also going to get rid of all this garbage. Okay, that is a big success in my opinion. Let's refresh this. Okay, so it's not perfect by any means, but huge step in the right direction. Let me change this stroke from red here to, wait a second, this one here to stroke width of 10 only, and we'll make it pink. Oh, now you can't really see it, but whatever, that's fine. I'm pretty pumped about that. That's pretty good. Okay. It's way better than than I originally thought it could be. So there's improvements to make. one issue is that the midpoint shuffles around a bit. That doesn't make a lot of sense. One issue is that the endpoints are offset a bit. This seems to be coming from midpoint assumptions. I suspect that the bounding box midpoint is not perfectly stable through full rotations of the line. Theoretically, it doesn't matter, but it can affect final positioning. Now, one thing I am realizing is that you could cheat it up a little bit and say, like, you could, if you have the bounding box and you know it's going to be a straight line segment, you could just say it is the bounding box corners and you'll actually be closer, right, in this case. But I'm not totally sure that that's better if you know that you're looking at what is supposed to be a line segment. You could just pick the correct 2 points from the bounding box. This might be the smarter approach. Okay, so that's plenty. I do think probably it's wise to come up with a more generalizable approach to things so that you can kind of take those bits that work and apply them to more than just straight segments, or you can apply it kind of along a segment, right? Like in an ideal sort of situation, you could take exactly half of the points from a segment. You know, it's a little tricky, I'll say that. But pretty happy with this approach for now. Certainly not bad. Certainly not the best, but that's okay. I could work on that. I can fix that stuff later. So that'll be it for me for today. I'm pretty happy with this. Even though it's hacky, it's a really fun approach. I think it'll be really cool to have the iPad as a sort of sketching interface to actual CAD data. I think that's really cool. I think it could be a lot of fun and maybe a source of inspiration for later. So I'm really happy with that. Been a hard bit of work today. Well, not hard work, but consistent work, good focus once I got the ball rolling. So I'm really quite happy with that. If there's anyone who watches this after the fact, thank you so much. Please consider following the Twitch channel, or if you're watching on YouTube or something like that, like, comment, subscribe, you know, all those sorts of things. And you can help by sharing this around. I want the channel to grow. I want to keep doing fun code projects, fun design projects, and the more people that tune in and participate, the more creativity there can be and the more fun we can all have. Yeah, so, you know, come on in and join the fun. I will be back again tomorrow for another stream. That's going to be it for me today. Hope everyone has a good one. Goodbye.